speaking to us live on NewsX World as we track these delicate developments taking place in Japan. Meanwhile, viewers, shifting focus towards another important country in East Asia, South Korea. We're now learning that South Korean Foreign Minister Hyun is heading to the United States today to address the fallout from the massive immigration raid that detained hundreds of Korean workers. The South Korean Foreign Minister will also discuss visa system improvements and meet U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. The detentions had occurred at a Georgia battery plant built by Hyundai Motor and LG Energy Solution, where about 300 Koreans were arrested. Now, negotiations to arrange their return to South Korea have concluded, with plans underway to fly them home this week under a voluntary departure. The raid had sparked strong concerns in Seoul, which in fact interestingly came just 10 days after South Korean President Lee Jae-myung had met with US President Donald Trump to pledge closer business ties. With us on the broadcast is Dr. Sanjay Kumar, journalist at the Korea Herald, joining us from Seoul. Thank you so much for joining us once again, sir. Last time, I do know that there was a slight connectivity issue, but I was basically asking you, regarding the imagery that has come forth of these workers being put in shackles. Their hands were bound, legs were bound, chains were also placed around their waist. What kind of furor did this cause amongst the normal netizens in Korea?
Netizens have been venting a lot of anger after this action, and they were not ready to accept such kind of treatment in any justified manner, and they were not even ready to accept it as a civilian or a civilized way of treating the detainees. So that was the mood since the last 2-3 days. But now the demands are also among Korean people are growing, that taking this as an example, the Korean government must resolve the visa issues with the US government through regular consultations and making sure to have E4 visa, non-immigrant visa quota in place. But to get this E4 quota, a bill has to be passed in the US Congress, which is pending since last July 2012. So that concerns are growing here, that the foreign minister of Korea must talk to his counterparts in US and resolve this issue, and it must not end here, but it should start from here to resolve the visa issue for the employees of companies, Korean companies who are working in US and who are to work after these huge investments of 21.5 billion by Hyundai Motors, as well as almost $500 billion of investment agreed between President Trump and President Lee. So here in Korea, people do not want to accept any kind of mistreatment, and they are considering this action as a very humiliatory, and they are not ready to accept in current circumstances.
You've in fact addressed the investment pledges that were made earlier, of course. On one hand, we do see that Trump is attempting to keep his image, that of a strongman, intact with his MAGA base at home, and is also trying to drive in more money. But how is this all really going down with the Korean administration at this moment? They've of course worked on a war footing practically to make sure that the workers are at least sent home in a dignified manner through voluntary departure. But do you think there will be any ramifications of this particular incident?
Well, you have correctly pointed out that voluntary departure has been the major objective of the South Korean government right now. Right now, the biggest objective is to bring them back because their families are in huge huge uncertainty, and they are very afraid because once this investigation gets carried on there, it may turn up into a criminal investigation. So that criminal procedure they don't want to face, and their families as well as the industry experts and industry stakeholders. For example, when I say uh, industry stakeholders, it includes, there are many companies, big companies, giants, chaebols, conglomerates who have invested heavily in US and who are planning to invest in US in the long run. So in a way, it may please the MAGA supporters, but in Korea, the public sentiment is that it may affect in long run the MASGA, the make American shipbuilding great again also. From Trump's perspective, of course, he wants to address his support base because he made promises in the elections that immigration is going to be on the center, and he is going to protect the jobs of the Americans. And that is why when he's mentioning that only US people should be trained, and they have to work on the ground in coming years and months, and those who are coming from the foreign side, I mean the Korean side, they only should train the Americans. So this is also sending not a very good signal here. And it is well known in the public that there was a gray area when it comes to this B1, B2 visa, because many, it has been practiced before. In only when Trump was leading the first administration, that time it was not very actively used, but this had become a kind of a habit of many Korean companies' employees to use that B1 and B2 visa in order to execute the things swiftly, because they cannot just wait for H1B, H2B visa, and other sorts of visas that may entitle them to work on ground. So they wanted to fastly execute such operations of their companies. That is why they were on ground. Their purpose of entry was not to become illegal and to be a migrant or immigrant
But
of
to
the US.
expedite the work.
Yeah.
Indeed,
Yeah,
sir,
yeah.
with that, I would like to thank you for taking out time speaking to us on NewsX World. Of course, sharing your perspective on what is transpiring as far as this particular development is concerned. With that, viewers, it's a wrap on this bulletin. Due to paucity of time, we must wrap up this bulletin here. More news and updates on the other side. Stay tuned.